Okay guys, chapter 1, unit 1, revision. Nature and scope of business economics. Now economics is based on two fundamental facts. Human wants are unlimited and means to satisfy them are limited. Here we had taken an example. If you have limited amount of 2000 rupees and you have various alternative ways in which you want to spend that money, be it going to an IPL match, spending on a friend's birthday, or going for a movie, any one of these want, every person's want will differ. But what is the limitation? 2000 rupees. That is limited resources and maximum wants. You will see how those wants are going to be satisfied with those limited resources. Next, what is economics basically? It is the study of processes by which resources are allocated to satisfy competing unlimited wants. Yes? Okay, what is meaning of business economics? Business economics is defined as the use of economic analysis to make business decisions by utilizing organizations' scarce resources. Yes? By utilizing organizations' scarce resources. Who has given this? Joel Dean. Joel Dean talks about how business economics is a part of applied economics. It is a part of applied economics where we use theories like linear programming, capital budgeting, cost analysis, regression analysis and break-even analysis. What is break-even analysis? Where your cost and the price both are at the same level. No profit, no loss situation. Yes, that is break-even analysis. Next, what are the key points of business economics? First, business economics is also called as managerial economics. Then, it bridges the gap between economic theory and business practices. It gives a huge corpus to the management along with theory and technique. Then, so basically, what does business economics do? It uses the theory by applying techniques to come to making a rational decision. For decision making, that's the purpose. It uses the theory, applies the techniques and gets to a good decision. What is decision making? What kind of decisions do you have to take on a daily basis? Come on. What to produce, how much to produce, but you think from a business perspective, from the very inputs which you take, the buying of inputs, then what to produce, then the kind of production, the technique of production, the sales and promotion, marketing activities, the interest, the investment, savings, everything needs to be considered. Okay? And the kind of questions you ask, what product needs to be launched, when it needs to be launched, who are our competitors, what inputs can be taken, what we can make on our own, what we need to buy from outside, which new product, how many competitors we have, yes, but what is our market share in the business? What is our advertising strategy, marketing strategy, what are the risks, uncertainties involved, target audience, all these need to be considered while making a decision. Yes? Nature of business economics. Business economics is broadly divided into two parts, microeconomics and macroeconomics. Microeconomics talks about individual units and organizations, how they make their decisions regarding utilization of scarce resources. Yes, we are talking only about individuals and organizations. What kind of things do you take under microeconomics? Product pricing, consumer behavior, factor pricing, the economic conditions of section of people, behavior of firms and location of industry. Is it clear? What is location of industry? Where the industry needs to be located. Near the source of raw material or near the source of customer base. Yes, what is factor pricing? Factors are nothing but your inputs. Inputs is your raw materials. What are the pricing of your raw materials when you are buying them? What is your pricing strategy? First, product pricing. The price of your final product is product pricing. Yes? Factor pricing is price of your inputs. Product pricing is the final price of your product. How do you set that? Okay? What is macroeconomics? Study of overall phenomenon of an economy, that is an average of or aggregate of all the incomes, interest rates, employment rates, everything, output, national output, everything. Okay, you're talking about the economy as a whole, not individual units or organizations. What all come under it? First, national income and national output. What is national income? Total value of goods and services produced in an economy during a given period of time. Then what is national output? Market value of goods and services produced. Next, general price level. What is general price level? Average of the prices of goods in the market. Next, interest rates. Okay, balance of trade is difference between countries' exports and country imports of tangible goods, visible goods. Okay, what is balance of payments? The difference between how much money flows into the country and how much money goes out in the real world. Yes, is it clear? Balance of trade is a part of balance of payments. External value of currency. Your currency rates with other countries' currency rates. Okay. The overall level of savings and investment. Savings? Income minus expenditure is savings, and investments is what you do with the savings. How you create your capital asset. Yes? Next, level of employment and rate of economic growth. Employment is how many people willing to work are employed, and what is your rate of economic growth? The average rate of GDP. What is GDP? C plus I plus G plus X minus M. X minus M is net exports. Exports minus imports. Are you clear with this? Average of those GDPs is rate of economic growth. Is it clear? Yes. Chalo. Next. Nature of business economics. First, business economics is a science. What do you mean by it? It is nothing but it helps in decision making by considering all the sciences, be it mathematics, statistics, econometrics, and it helps using these theories by putting it into a practical form and achieving a decision. That's the purpose of business economics, to help you make decisions. Yes? Next, based on microeconomics. As a business, you will always think for long-term survival of any business. For that long-term survival, what kind of decisions you have to make? Microeconomics helps you do that. The list of 6 things which we've spoken about: product pricing, factor pricing, consumer behavior, location of industry, economic section of people of a society. Do you understand all these? These are points you consider when you think about microeconomics, how your scarce resources are going to be utilized to give maximum satisfaction. Next, incorporates elements of macroeconomics. We just discussed what macroeconomics are. Using those elements in business, why is it important? Because these factors affect each and every individual business. So you need to be ready for what policies come your way and make decisions how you incorporate in your own organization. Yes? Next, use of business economics is also an art. It uses theory of markets and private enterprises. What does pragmatic in approach mean? Practical. So I am saying microeconomics has unrealistic assumptions and it is theory. Business economics is practical in approach because it helps you make decisions. Yes? Because it uses the theory, applies it in techniques, and then comes to a decision. So it's pragmatic in approach. Interdisciplinary in nature means various theories are come together and it uses disciplines of every factor. Okay. Then normative in nature. So business economics is generally normative in nature. What is positive economics? Let's do this. Based on actual data, facts and numbers. Normative is based on opinion and value judgments of the interpreter. Results can be verified, results cannot be verified. Explains cause and effect relationship, past value conclusions. Results and statements are descriptive and objectives. Results and statements are descriptive and subjective. Describes economic issues, provides solutions based on value. How things are, how things should be. Are you clear with these? Yes, no doubt. But business economics is normative in nature. Scope of business economics. First, business economics applied to internal or operational issues. Guys, your day-to-day issues of how things should be in an organization. What are the kind of day-to-day issues which are generally occur? Production, sales, marketing, advertising, employment, cost of factors, cost of production, risks and uncertainties, all these are taken into consideration. Yes? Now, demand analysis and forecasting. What is demand analysis, guys? Come on. Behavior of consumers in the market and effect of changes in determinants of demand. Open your notebooks as well. Open your notebooks. I gave you summaries for a reason. Can I continue? What is demand analysis? Behavior of consumers in a market and effect of changes in determinants of demand. Demand forecasting. Predicting future demand for goods and services based on the past behavior. Production and cost analysis. Relationship between input and output, appropriate technology and selection of least cost input mix. Cost analysis. Recognizing behavior of cost when changes occur. It can be related to a time period or change in size of plant or output. These changes occur, you are still looking how you maximize your profits. Next, inventory management. Helping firm maintain optimum stock of inventories. Raw materials, work in progress and finished goods. You are talking about all of them. Resource allocation. What does this mean? Use advanced tools for optimum utilization of resources. Theory of capital and investment decisions. What is this? Investment of various things to attain highest return of investment. So you're putting your saving, investing it somewhere, and you're looking for what kind of return on investment you would get. Higher return, obviously. When you're putting into investment, the purpose is that you get something more out of it. If your money is going to get lesser, you will never invest it. Your intention is to increase the money. What share market does to you is separate. Okay, chalo. Profit analysis. What is profit analysis, guys? Once there are changes in price or changes in cost or uncertainties and risks, you deal with all of them in such a way that you still attain profit. Yes? Risk and uncertainty analysis. Prepare for contingencies and future predictions. Meaning, first you look at the past behavior. Do we have certain types of risks which keep coming in an organization? Uncertainty you can't control. Risks you can to a certain extent. When you know these risks occur, use a reason for it. Like virus, you know, you use an antivirus software. So isn't it protection against the risk? Yes or no? That's what we are talking about. Uncertainty is where you can't expect this would be happening. Like I gave you the example of COVID. We didn't know it was going to come. But are floods also uncertainties? Natural calamities, basically. Yes? Now, macroeconomics applied to external or environmental issues. First, type of economic system. Capitalist, socialist or mixed. Stage of business cycle, whether it is peak, expansion, recession or trough. Trough is the basic level. Then general trends in income. Guys, can you all read? Then read it loudly, na? General trends in national income, employment, prices, saving and investment. Next, we are talking about all the economic policies, be it fiscal policies or industrial policies. Next, socio-economic organizations like trade unions, etc. Yeah, and social and political environment. Then business decisions cannot be taken without considering these present and future environmental factors. As a firm, you have no control over these. These are external factors. You have to adapt these external factors and run your organization. Is this clear? Everybody? Okay. Chapter 1, Unit 2, Basic Problems of Economy and Price Mechanism. First, tell me Paul A. Samuelson, what did he give? Paul A. Samuelson spoke about terms of growth and development, dynamic growth and development. Adam Smith, he wrote the first book on economics, which was called Wealth of Nations. An essay on nature and significance of economic science. Lionel Robbins, he also gave the scarcity definition and positive aspect of science. Economics is the study of mankind in ordinary business of life, was given by Alfred Marshall. He also gave the welfare definition. Is it clear? He also said normative economics is concerned with welfare propositions. Is it clear, everybody? Chalo. Now the second unit, basic problems of an economy. What are the main set of problems? First is human wants are unlimited, but the resources are limited. So what are the 4 kinds of things which you need to consider? First, what to produce. What to produce is what? What kinds of goods and services need to be produced? That is capital goods or consumer goods. Then how many units need to be produced? How to produce. Now this is completely dependent on your cost of factors of production. This is completely dependent on cost of factors of production. Whether you use labor intensive techniques or capital intensive techniques. Labor intensive techniques, more labor, less capital. Capital intensive, more capital, less labor. Labor intensive examples, Uber, Swiggy, Ola, all of these. Then capital intensive, automobile industry, oil industries, iron and steel plants, all these are capital intensive industries. Next, for whom to produce? You need to look at your target audience. How the income or how the goods and services are distributed among society. That needs to be decided. Then we decide whom to produce for. Okay? And what provision should be made for future economic growth. Which means all the money which you have should not be spent on current consumption. You should save some money for future use as well. So when you are saving it, you are investing it somewhere. And then you expect that there will be return on those investments. Okay? Capitalist economy. What is a capitalist economy? First, it is given by Adam Smith. Okay? Then, now this economic system basically talks about self-regulation and is driven by price mechanism. Guys, understand? Do not directly jump to profit. It is driven by self-regulation and price mechanism. Only when they set a certain price, then they earn profits. So price mechanism is the primary factor. Then profit is the aim. Do you all understand? Yes? So now what's happening in capitalist economy? All the factors of production are generally owned and controlled by private individuals. What is it also called? Laissez-faire economy or free market economy. Yes? Are these points clear? Okay. Now, what are the characteristics? Right to private property, meaning they are owned and controlled by private individuals. Second, freedom of enterprise. They can decide as to which economic activity they want to take up. Freedom of economic choice. They want to consume, be a producer, work, owner, whatever they want to be, they can decide. What is profit motive? Their driving force is profit motive. They are looking as to how they utilize their resources in such a way that they maximize their profit. Their price is set at such a level where people are buying it also and they are earning profits also. Next, consumer sovereignty. Consumer is the king. Somehow consumer lands up deciding what to produce and how much to produce and for whom to produce. Because only people having buying capacity are they going to produce for. Because this is dependent completely on profit motive. They are not thinking about welfare of the society. So people who have buying capacity are in benefit here. Next, competition. What are they competing against? Buyers are competing against each other to provide the best product and at a good rate to the consumers. People with buying capacity or consumers. So because consumer is the king, the sellers are also deciding amongst themselves what to produce according to them. Absence of government interference. So government has a very little role to play in a capitalist economy. Everything is decided by private individuals only. Now what are the merits of capitalism? Self-regulating through price mechanism, meaning there is no cost for collecting and processing information. Next, encourages risk-taking, greater efficiency and incentive to work. COP is minimized. COP is cost of production, okay. High degree of operative efficiency, economic growth is faster, optimum allocation of available resources which gives you maximum satisfaction, democratic framework, incentives. Incentives are given for both purposes, technological progress also and taking decisions, okay, and efficient economic decisions and implementation of those decisions. Did we cover all the points? What are demerits? Inequality, social inequality, economic inequality. Then somewhere consumer might be wrong as well. You overburden the consumer. Then misallocation of resources. Because of that, welfare is avoided. Unemployment increases, welfare is increased. People with lesser buying capacity do not have any option. Exploitation of labor, yes. Formation of monopolies. Yeah, expenditure on advertisement and marketing. So there is huge wastage of money. Monopolies are created, yes. Yes, anything else? Excessive competition ultimately throws out a lot of people who are not able to compete. So they cannot match up to the other producers. Okay? Socialist economy given by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels in their Communist Manifesto. Okay? Friedrich Engels, yes, that's the name. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. Okay, this economy is also called as a command economy or a centrally planned economy or central planning economy? Centrally planned economy. Okay, now what is happening here? The government sets up a central planning authority and they take the decisions as to how the scarce resources are allocated in an economy. They take care of that. Now what is collective ownership? Now the entire ownership is with the government. They own everything. They decide what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce and what provision is to be made for future economic growth. It is all decided by the central planning authority. Guys, don't land up writing government. Government sets up a central planning authority and they take the decisions regarding this. Economic planning is the same thing. Revision. You want this discussion to happen in your revision class when you're reading and writing. Absence of consumer choice, meaning what the central planning authority decides is to be produced, is to be accepted by the people. There is limited occupations and there are limited kind of goods which are being produced. They have choice between them, but what is produced is decided by the central planning authority. Relatively equal income distribution. Obviously here you are not thinking about only buying capacity people, you are thinking about all of them. Minimum role of price mechanism or market force. Prices are decided by the central planning authority, not by market forces of demand and supply. So these prices are called administered prices. Absence of competition. State is the sole owner, so there is no scope for competition. Merits of socialism. Chalo. Equitable distribution, it's all here. To maintain what? Economic and social justice. Rapid and balanced economic development for what? It coordinates all the resources and sets priorities as to which resource needs to be allocated where. Then better utilization of resources and ensures maximum production. Less wastage on advertisement and sales. They don't need to do that. Unemployment is minimized because all of them are given jobs. Yes. Then welfare of the society. Standard of living of people is set at a certain level. Then laborers and consumers, no exploitation of laborers or consumers, and social security is maintained. Fine. What are the demerits? Bureaucracy like corruption and favoritism. No necessary incentives are given. No rights, no property rights. So there is no private property right. Everything is owned by the state government. Then yes, less number of choices. Yeah, you have limited choices of product. Administered prices means it's a very big limitation. It's not decided on the basis of market forces. It is just randomly, they have no cost calculation. There is no cost calculation as how that prices have come. Next. Yeah, monopoly becomes uncontrollable. Consumers, limited production, yeah, and personal efficiency is affected, no incentives are given, productivity is hampered, and it is not at all practicable because you have nothing in private hands. You have nothing in private hands. What is the mixed economy? Given by J.M. Keynes. Keynes is also responsible for Keynesian theory and says focus should be more on macroeconomics and government should also be involved. Okay, so what is mixed economy? Basically using the best advantages or best features of both capitalist economy and socialist economy. So what am I trying to say? That when I am talking about mixed economy, the characteristics of capitalist economy, which is generally profit motive, self-regulating, driven by price mechanism, all this should exist. But there should be a control of the government over this so that they even focus on welfare of the society. Not only people with buying capacity, but also people other than that, to all levels of society. Do you understand this? Yes? So that's what mixed economy is basically focusing on. Government thinks about places where, like government hospitals, government schools, where they provide services at a lower rate. Private individuals give better services at a higher rate, but the rate should be in a limit which somehow everyone can afford. Yeah? Features of mixed economy, the three sectors: private sector, public sector and combined sector. Private sector completely owned and controlled by private individuals, but government puts policies and regulations as to how these private individuals run their organizations. Yes? So this is a mix of micro and macroeconomics. Next, government sector. Here you are looking at non-profit organizations. Depends on welfare of the community. They are focusing on that. Combined sector, both government and private individuals go hand in hand, work together to provide better services and use resources in a wiser manner. Okay. What are advantages of mixed economy? Economic freedom is freedom for private property is there. Then welfare of the economy, incentives are given to people. Okay. Labor regulations are better. Here you are not looking for exploitation. There is no exploitation. Risk taking. Yeah. The risk. Freedom of choice, risk taking, efficient decision making, utilization of scarce resources. Incentives, yes, we spoke about. Anything else? Rapid economic development. Okay, demerits. Sometimes people are not able to balance, or economies are not able to balance mixed economy, meaning what part should be private and what should be public. That they are not able to decide which sector will run which business. So then there is lack of understanding between them. Once that fails, then the production, savings, investment, everything of an economy goes for a toss. Okay? Advantages, disadvantages. Who has given capitalist economy? Adam Smith. Mixed economy? यही प्रॉब्लम है. What is mixed economy? J.M. Keynes. And socialist economy? Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. Who has given welfare propositions? Alfred Marshall. Scarcity definition. Lionel Robbins? Yes. Dynamic growth and development? Paul A. Samuelson. Again, scarcity definition? Lionel Robbins. Okay, done.